I'm back. It's live. Woo-wee. Hey, you know what I just realized? I didn't do audio feed for the last couple episodes. Whoops. Sorry. I will not be making up for those. We're just gonna charge ahead. Moving forward. I'm so tired. All right. Let's do this thing. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Today is Wednesday, June 19th, 2019. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. I am not drinking out of my first cup mug. I am not drinking the Costa Rican coffee I brought back because I didn't even empty my bag from the car last night because I got back late and was very sleepy and walked inside, put food in the cat's dish, and promptly went to bed. And slept really well. It was great. So, I'm happy to be home, but I'm missing Costa Rica. Costa Rica was great. I want to thank all of you for your tolerance with my departure. It was clear that people were not as engaged with the pre-recorded shows, and just the fact that no one is tuning in live right now tells me that you were probably expecting another pre-recorded show. But I wanted to do a live one because it was home. I'm going to go to bed after. I'll go back to bed. Yeah, I can still sleep after this coffee. Actually, maybe I won't, but... Hi, Scott. Yeah, had a good time. Today will be spent catching up and dealing with logistical things that have to happen around the house. Like the fact that the guy who cuts my grass hasn't been here in like 3 weeks. I think there's a velociraptor hiding out. And there's other stuff. There's stuff. There's always stuff, right? There's just always stuff. So much stuff. Yeah, flight was late. They kept moving the gate around. Flight was a little bit delayed. So I was supposed to have this, like, what was it supposed to be? 7.5 hour layover in Atlanta, which if you've ever been to the Atlanta airport, it's fairly nice. Compared to most airports, it's pretty cool. There's plenty of food, plenty of stuff to walk around and see. Well, I just started walking. I walked from end to end, basically twice, because I did a loop of terminals A, B, C, D, and T. I almost did E and F. I had time, but I was hungry. And had I known they were delaying the flight, I would have done both. But by the time I sat down, ate my food, I was not feeling like getting up again. There was this beautiful exhibit of African art that was hanging out in between terminals in a spot that very few people were going to go because everybody takes the tram between terminals. But because I was walking, I got to check it out. You see good stuff between terminals. The next time you're at an airport and you have a layover and you're bored, instead of just sitting on your phone or getting work done, I did plenty of both, go for a walk. See what there is to see. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Got all my normal Wednesday stuff, plus plenty of other stuff, plus unpacking stuff. Yeah. All right. Well, there are questions. There are some questions that I held from last week. There are new questions. Let's get to them. I want to thank everybody who asked questions, who left me questions for the pre-recorded episodes. Just thank you. All right. What was your favorite part about being a school owner? So for those of you that don't know, I had a martial arts school for a couple years. Fresh out of college, and it was 2 years, maybe just shy. Promoted a couple people to blue belt. What was my favorite thing about that? Being able to see my vision for martial arts, the way I was teaching it, implemented, and watching students learn accordingly. Watching students learn from their efforts. Being able to connect the dots, make the decisions for myself. I become a better instructor when I made poor decisions. If there were a martial arts capital of America, where would it be? Oh man. Based on conversations on the show, on Martial Arts Radio, martial arts is strongest along the edges, on the coasts. And it does seem to roughly correlate with population centers. Now you have different focal points for different styles. For example, Isshinryu Karate is big in New Jersey. Shotokan Karate is big in southern New England, Massachusetts, Rhode Island. It's a great question, and it's one that I haven't ever considered before. My inclination is to say San Francisco. But I'm not sure what I'm basing that on. We've heard on Martial Arts Radio from a number of people who have ties, older ties. But what's the job of a capital? The capital of a state or a country is responsible for governing. It sets the tone for the rest. Is there a place in the US that sets the tone for the martial arts? And I don't think there is. For all of the negative of it, there's a lot of good that comes out of it. I can't tell I'm still exhausted. I'm gonna need much more than 1 cup of coffee. I was up at 3 yesterday. Although to be fair, that was 5 local time here. But then I went to bed at 11. I don't know. Time zones. I don't think there is a martial arts capital. I think there are regions that are more prominent. I think Florida has a lot of prominent martial artists, but they also have a large population. San Francisco has a lot of martial artists, a lot of prominent ones. And some of that is because there's a high amount of immigration from Asian countries there. There was a time where you would likely say Hawaii was a bit like a capital for the martial arts for the same reasons. Back in the 60s, we've heard from some folks as they tell their stories that Texas was a hotbed for martial arts. So I'm going to say that as great as this question is, I don't have an answer. Or my answer is that there really isn't one. But if you feel differently, I'd love to hear that. I'd love to know what people think about that one. Have I seen any of Chuck Norris's movies? Yes. Most of the ones that I've seen, it's been a while. The one that I've seen most recently is, shoot, what's the one? The one that Bill Wallace was in. I had to go back and watch that one again because once I knew Bill. Hold on. IMDb, Bill Wallace. I put together an infographic once comparing Bill Wallace to William Wallace from Braveheart. It did well. There are a number of Bill Wallaces on here. So we have to add Chuck Norris to our search. A Force of One from 1979. That's the one that I watched most recently. That was just like a year or two ago. It's a fun movie. It's not a great movie. Bill plays a villain. What's the guy's name? Sparky. There's some other movies he's been in, and a couple that there's one that's coming out this year. Oh, The Last Operative. Let's look this up since we're here. Oh yeah, this is the one that Michael De Pasquale is involved in. The Last Operative. After a sniper's bullet kills his son, retired CIA agent Michael Sabato, actually maybe this is out, goes back into New York City, a clandestine underground where he once worked, evading those trying to kill him while following the clues hidden in his past to discover who killed his son. I think this might be the one that's available on Amazon Prime. And if so, there are a bunch of my friends in this movie. Anthony, Rob Buckland, Eric Caldera, Dennis Campo. Oh, look at all these people who've been on the show. We're in this. John de Blasio, Mike D, Rocky DeRico, Christina and Terry Dow. Wow. Alan Goldberg. I gotta watch this. I think this is the one that Paul Milholland said he had watched and he was impressed with. Anybody else? Anybody else? Of course, Bill. Yeah, executive produced by Michael De Pasquale. And there's a whole pile of stunt. Look at all the stunt Stunt people. Pile of stunt people. All right, enough of that. There were more. Where'd the rest of the question? I think there's like one more. All right. This one comes in from Brent. My question is, what is your fit test? I hear folks say in a minute you have to do 29 push-ups. I also hear that folks have to do a plank for a minute and a half in taekwondo. What's your fit test look? So, since I don't have a school, I don't have a fitness test. I am not a fan. I'm not a proponent of standardized physical standards. Here's why. So, let's say you come into martial arts at 22 years old, and let's say it takes you 7 years of training to prepare and be invited to test for your black belt. You'd be 29, say you're in great physical shape, and you're asked to do 29 push-ups in a minute. It's not a big deal. On the other end of the spectrum, you start at 65. So now you're in your early to mid 70s. From all but a small few, 29 push-ups is going to be a huge deal. The younger black belt candidate could do more. The older black belt candidate probably can't do that many. But what is the role of a black belt? Of that testing? It depends. There are some schools where these are the physical standards that you must meet, and that's fine. But to me, earning a black belt is so much more individualized. I've known people who struggle to learn and remember forms, but they are clearly black belt worthy. I've known other people who excel at learning forms, but they weren't black belt worthy. To me, martial arts being about growth, personal growth. Being a good black belt isn't necessarily something you can define, but it's something you can recognize. This is why people use time or number of classes attended, because I think it's an easier correlation. Now, I don't like that either because, you get people who put more into one class than others, and you get people who learn faster than others, people who train once a week versus 4 times a week. There's a lot of variance there. Now, if we're talking about a fitness standard that doesn't necessarily apply to martial arts, what would we say if we were to call someone fit? I think it's a whole battery of tests, and in fact, this is one of the things that CrossFit attempts to answer. CrossFit methodology has 10 aspects. It's not the right word, but 10 we'll call them aspects of fitness: strength, power, speed, balance, coordination, accuracy, flexibility, and that's not 10, but I don't remember the rest right now. You can look them up. And the idea is that properly training CrossFit, you're addressing all of them. Interestingly enough, martial arts addresses all of them. At least the way most martial arts classes are run. I think as long as you're moving forward. Now, I'm still kind of dodging this question. There's a cat right here. What would we say for a standard of fitness for a martial artist? I think a martial artist, to be considered fit, should be able to handle themselves in a self-defense confrontation at high intensity for a long enough period of time that lacking that fitness will not hinder them, that the state of their fitness will not hinder them. If the theories that you apply in your martial arts school are that the average confrontation lasts, let's say, 30 seconds, you should be able to handle 30 seconds of very high intensity self-defense without quitting, without becoming so tired or whatever that you compromise your ability to defend yourself. I think that's my test, my standard. Yeah. All right, look at that, 21 minutes. I am a rambling fool. I want to thank you guys for watching, for tuning in. If you want to ask a question, I hope you do, please drop me a question below. Hit subscribe, turn on the notifications. The channel's growing. That's been fun to watch. The show's been growing. That's been fun to watch. And of course, if you don't watch live, which you can do every 6:30 a.m. Eastern right here on YouTube, you can catch it later at firstcupwithjeremy.com or in your podcast app. Now, for your homework. You heard me kind of hem and haw over standards because I don't like to apply broad standards to others. I have standards for myself. But I'd like you to consider where you have standards in your life for yourself and where others are applying those standards to you. Do you show up to work 15 minutes early because that's what your employer expects of you? Or do you show up 15 minutes early to work because you want to be ready to go because you want to do your best job? We all have standards, and we all have standards for others. I'm not telling you to change a thing. I just want you to recognize who's applying them where. If you have a wonderful day, I will see you back here tomorrow.